Have you been using your dishwasher wrong your whole life? Because when it comes to loading and using the dishwasher, opinions are divided. No matter how well you know your dishwasher, there are secret features and clever tricks you've likely never seen. Before I show you what to watch for when loading it and how to do it right, let's first look at some of its functions. You probably already knew that you can adjust some small parts in your dishwasher, just like you can see here with mine. Depending on what you want to put in the dishwasher, you can create more space this way or set up more holders. But did you know that, for example, you also have these things at the back here where you can lean items against, or even a bracket if you want to secure larger items in your dishwasher? Additionally, if you have a cutlery drawer at the top, you can even lower these parts if you want to put in slightly larger items, giving you more space as well. In the cutlery drawer as well, you know that there are some compartments with less space between them and some with more, and even in the ones with less space, you can usually adjust them a bit. Before I show you why these things are important, let's first look at probably the most ingenious feature almost no one knows. If you put larger items in the bottom of the dishwasher, you know the propeller might not spin freely because it gets stuck. For that, just use this handle on the side. There's one on each side of the upper rack toe. Easily adjust the upper rack higher or lower. So it doesn't matter whether you need more space at the top or the bottom, you can always adjust it a little bit as needed. That brings us to the biggest mistakes you can make with your dishwasher. The first one is pre-rinsing. In fact, you should never pre-rinse your plates or dishes. If there are still larger particles on the plate, you can throw those away in the trash beforehand. But you shouldn't rinse off the rest because it's important that some dirt remains on the cutlery and plates so it can work properly here. Many modern models use sensors that detect how dirty the dishes are, and if they're too clean, the machine might stop too early. Additionally, the dishwasher tablet also needs a certain amount of dirt to stick to in order to clean everything thoroughly. But what are the really important things you should pay attention to when loading the dishwasher? For example, you should never place plastic containers on the bottom rack, but always on the top. This is because the most heat and pressure are generated at the bottom. This can quickly cause these plastic containers to break. The same also applies to glasses, by the way. That's why glasses should also always be placed on the top rack. Additionally, you should never place them over these pegs, but always set them on the side. This is because they can be positioned at an angle here, which prevents water from collecting on top. The same goes for cups like these, by the way. So always place them at an angle on the side here. With these small things, which we can also fold down a bit on the side when needed, you can perfectly place wine glasses or champagne flutes. Here you make sure that they have a good grip. Additionally, the glass stands at a slight angle, which is the only way you can fit it in up here. If you place it over the racks, you often can't close the door properly. If you have larger items or like baking pans, you should never put them anywhere in the dishwasher, since they take up too much space. Ideally, you should stand them upright around the edge. This bracket up here is perfect for this purpose. We can brace everything against it. For larger parts, always set them up around the edge. When it comes to bolts like these, you should definitely use the prongs up here and place them in just as you can see here. This way they are angled enough to be hit by the water jets, ensuring they get completely clean on the inside as well. You just need to make sure that you don't place them too close together. But have you always been loading plates into the dishwasher incorrectly? You probably did it the same way, placing them in here at an angle like this. But if we take a closer look at the whole thing now, you can see that the water shoots upward from this small jet down here. That means the angle is actually completely wrong because it doesn't really hit the surfaces of the plates. That's why ideally you should just turn them around. This way the water can reach the plate surfaces or between the plates much better, and in the end they really get properly clean. Definitely give it a try this way. You'll be surprised at how well it works. If you lower the cutlery drawer a bit on the sides at the top, you can fit larger items like these spatulas in perfectly. And if you still have a cutlery basket, you should always make sure to place forks and spoons in the basket with the handle facing down, but with knives the handle should face up. This way everything gets much cleaner, and with knives you can also make sure you don't injure yourself, especially with sharp knives. And before you start the dishwasher, you should always check that the spray arms can spin freely, because that's the only way everything can really get clean. But now I have a truly brilliant trick for you to prevent water from remaining on the surfaces of your dishes, or for example on plastic containers when the dishwasher is finished. Because all you have to do is As soon as the machine is finished, open it once, place a towel in the upper rack and then close it again so that it's only open a small crack. So you lean them completely against it. This way, all the excess moisture is absorbed by the towel, which would otherwise just settle on the dishes. This way, you don't have to dry anything by hand at the end and everything will really be completely dry. And if you now want to know which 12 things you should absolutely never put in your dishwasher, then check out the video you can now see on the screen. Just click on it directly